Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I hope we're all doing well today. It's been a bit since the last stream, but hopefully it'll stick this time, and we'll be doing this more regularly. I see, let's see, we have Muffin joining us. Hey there, welcome back, Muffin. Checking in with the kitties. Let's see. We have we have Ember and Mason and Sherbet. Sherbet watching. Okay, Sammy went over by the litter boxes, and Sherbet is keeping an eye on her. I switched out the side table. It still has the little floor mat under it, but I put a canvas drop cloth over it to see if they'd like that just as much. It's still a coarse texture. You know, not like sandpaper coarse, but fabric coarse. To see if they still enjoy that, because they were steadily destroying that floor mat. And Sherbet was prone to getting his claws stuck in it, because he continues to not let me clip them. I get people telling me, "Oh, you can just take them by the scruff of the neck," and that will work on Sherbet, but the problem is that leaves me one hand free to operate the clippers and to hold his paws and to extend the claws so that they can be clipped. If I had, a couple more hands, ideally, at least one extra, then we could do that. But we don't. And I'm not going to let go of his scruff in order to grab his paws, because Sherbet will stiff leg blender panic when that kind of thing happens. Sherbet and Sammy are the reason that I have a lot of bandages and similar medical supplies readily available. But yeah, so we delayed initially because I was trying to figure out how to do file loading. Data file loading for this. And I've been looping around with various ideas for it, but I've settled on sort of JSON. Not JSON in the sense of I'll be storing the actual objects, like deserializing actual object construction, and more just using it as a text dictionary with each object having a parse from file or parse from dictionary kind of thing. The reason I don't want to deal with the built-in JSON stuff is nested deserialization in JSON for C# and similar things gets messy. As far as Godot is concerned, the parsing it spits out variants. And I mean, it always spits out variants, but anytime I'm dealing with variables, I want them to be strongly typed. It is a bit of a landmine to not do that. Every time you have to hard cast without knowing with absolute certainty, that you have to hard cast an object into a type, or treat them as a type, even though they're just an object or variant, is an error surface. Because what if it's not? No matter how certain you are of all of the calling code previously, if there's a way to call it with a different object, then it's possible that it will get called with a different object. But so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start trying to get some basic parsing into it. Let's show everybody where we got to before we go much further here. Shelf. What's going on here? Just gonna push a couple buttons first, though. Setting for this, but I don't recall where it is. Looking. Sorry, I'm trying to fix the chat bot here. That's why. The bot is there. I don't know why it didn't relay. Okay, doesn't matter. We'll get there. But yes. So we have a crude start screen mock-up. Eventually these are just going to be texture boxes. I'll come up with a sprite that encompasses what's supposed to be there. We run. We have placeholder health on the top. Character can move around. You might not be able to see it, but there is a teeny tiny red dot there that is at 0, 0. So character can move around. Enemies will appear. We can press tab, which pauses it, brings up the menu. We can slap a whole bunch of power-ups here. So we can see we got hit once, so one of the heart things has switched to texture. Getting lower FPS than I really expected here. It's distinctly possible that I changed something since the last run through that distorted it slightly. But we're still getting greater than 60 frames per second, so that's great. $60 with a sprite game is pretty much plenty. There's a stack of cardboard off camera somewhere that Sky and Sherbet are laying on. All cozy. Let's see. If we do... If we stagger the splits, you can actually see them when they break apart into the different units. Double 3 is still not great because that creates overlap. But yeah. And just because I want to see it. Seconds, yeah. So having the Sammy sitting immediately off camera. The spiral inward creates this nice little loop on the path kind of thing. The slower it moves, the tighter it manages to get to the point of movement. Whereas the faster it moves, the larger the orbit has to be to keep up. Okay. But that's where we are. Now, the reason that we're doing some extra work here, and I will show you, is the catalog. And the catalog is a bit of a problem for us. Partly because of this. That is all of the data. The data is all hard-coded as to what is in the game. Which, for like a standalone release, isn't really a problem, like, mechanically. We could still do this. The problem I'm having is that it's just big and it's a hassle to work with. What I want is stuff like all of these icons and whatnot. I want to move into just read it in from a folder kind of stuff. It's there, and maybe there's a text file with each one that defines its properties. You know, it's an icon. It has no frames. Or it is a... this is the entities here. So, you know, how big is the frame? Is it a icon that, or a texture that's meant to be rotated or not? You know, how big is the texture considered? That kind of thing. We will need to keep this, but to prevent us from loading it in and saying like, okay, how big are the different elements kind of stuff. But this tells me how big is an animation frame. We need this for the rendering process. We could even start to have things like how many frames a given animation is, so it can tick through it and loop, even if, say, the longest animation on the sprite page is like 6 frames, but the shortest one is 2, that it handles it correctly. So we want to do stuff like that. We're not going to start with the textures just yet. What we're going to do is we're going to start with, say, anything else. We'll have to figure out which one we're going to start with, but the goal here is to have markers that say what type of thing it is and what subtype it is. So if it's a behavior, we say, okay, this is a behavior, hand it to a behavior handler. The behavior handler says, okay, what is its subtype? And its subtype is like move straight line or move zigzag or that kind of thing. So that we can then instantiate the appropriate class and feed that the construction elements that we need, the dictionary that we need for creating it. And we will do that over and over. The goal being having text files that contain several or even just one kind of thing. So that if I want to edit, say, a behavior for move in a zigzag pattern, I can go to that file and change that file and not have to worry about going to the code, editing the code, recompiling, that kind of thing. As an added bonus, even without having a really robust modding mechanism, that creates a file override modding mechanism. Go to this folder, change these files. Hello, Sherpit. I think the canvas might be a bit of a success. Unclear. Hello, Sherpit. Okay. Hello. Lay by cat. Gotta pet the cat. Sherbet has been glacially slow to socialize here. Come on, then. Still likes to sit behind my head. Ember is pleased to have her spot again for once. I don't know what the trigger was, but Sherbet and Sammy started taking that spot with great regularity. Previously, Sherbet would take the spot, and sometimes Sky would come over and just kind of flop down next to her or on top of her, and she would eventually get sick of it and move. But Sky usually wouldn't take the spot just by himself, so she'd only really be competing with Sherbet. But now Sammy takes that spot too, with frequency. So I've seen Ember pouting in other spots more frequently. So at least she has her spot today. Okay, so I've got a basic idea how to get this. So one of the things we're going to do at the beginning then is I'm going to do a quick kind of let's test the JSON kind of stuff. So we're going to go into core. When we instantiate core here, because we don't need anything else. So Godot.json. So we're making a JSON object. Then we're going to say so you can just use parse string or similar methods, but if you use parse, it gives us some interesting stuff. So it's going to return an error object, and what we want is error.ok out of it. If we don't get error ok, then we have a flaw in one of our files. So we're going to do .parse. We're going to look for need because we're doing resource path.load here. Let's take a quick look here. Checking the documentation here. Here we go. Okay. We are looking at this right here. It's file access is what I was looking for. File access has a static, doesn't it? Just gonna pause that there. File access. Okay, it's .open to get a file and then file. So what would file access.open be? Okay, because it's a static. Okay, okay. All right, so we need our access open. Should be data slash text. Let's verify. Yes. This one, yep. So add right there. Only opening it for read purposes. File access dot get as text. So we read it in, and then we are going to parse file contents. Case sensitive. Okay, so we parse the file. Else. So this is going to be the general pattern that we're going to do for it. Is we're going to parse the file and make sure it's formed correctly. We will have other errors that we can have inside of it, but this is an opportunity for us to determine that the JSON is broken or not. Beverage. So then in our JSON, we have there's our error line. We can get it from data. Back here. JSON data, and the trick is going to be figuring out what it results in. Do a stringify here. So we're getting a variant is the thing. Which, I dislike. It's just going to be the class variant there. So ideally, we would just have one object here. So let's start with that. can have tailing. That should be fine. Are going to say, let's see here, parser. Gold. Okay. We're seeing which types we're getting back out of this. Okay. Oh. We don't actually know what the type is when we do this. Fix that down there. No, that's not how I want that to work. Collections, not dictionary. Get away with that. Okay, if this works, then what we will have is a value gets printed out in the debug. Oh well, that would have been our problem there. We are doing code tests. We are doing code. I'll have to catch that in just a moment. I broke something somewhere. Okay, it's parsing like we want it to, because if you can see it, there's the word value there, which means we have read this file, we found the field, and we got value out of it. Hooray! Now we have to fix the actual bug that we just found. Okay. Okay. Well, the errors aren't appearing again. Okay, fine. So, again, our plan is now to take this kind of structure in the catalog and go through and say, okay, for each file in this folder, we are going to parse its contents, make sure that we get a proper file parse here. And once we do, we're going to take that resultant collection, that dictionary, and we are going to feed it into the relevant object parsing. So the catalog may still be the master location for this, where what we'll do is we'll say, okay, this is supposed to be an entity file or a behavior file. I'm going to pass this initial dictionary into that. And then within that function, we will figure out, we'll pass it to within that function, we then break it down into the regular types. So we know it's supposed to be a behavior, and then we check and say, like, okay, it's a move straight line. Okay, it says it's a move straight line. I'm going to create one of those and pass this dictionary into it to initialize itself from. So then if we look at a move straight line, like right now, move straight line says I do nothing. So a move straight line does nothing. There are no values in it. We could set this up, but frankly, I'm going to need a new system for speed handling. Because this 96 is a generated value, ultimately. It is 16 times the scaling factor. 16 being the size, the base size of a sprite, in this case. And then the scaling factor is 6 because that's how far we zoom in. Every normal pixel in the sprite art is actually 6 pixels on the screen. So again, that is calculated here. We should make that like a variable of some kind, so that I can change it. We could technically change it on the fly. We'd have to figure out how to do that in a variety of places, but allow for zoom in, zoom out kind of stuff. But that's future Newt's problem. Here we go. So wave has 2 values that you can set when you're creating it. In particular, where we would have the current cycle and cycles per second. So I would actually go in and say, okay, cycles per second in current cycle. Well, cycles per second. We're going to go with that. Well, now I'm confused. 1 second here. Because that should be... Okay, no. So wave movement is, it describes like a wave, like a sine wave, that kind of thing. But we're not describing it in terms of amplitude and frequency. That's not really what's going on. What it is doing is it is a oscillating rotation. Whether we are, so we have 45 degrees. This is another variable we could put in there, how far it oscillates. But it goes up or down 45 degrees. So the movement of the object is rotated that much. This makes it really flexible in how it functions. We'll mess with that later. But we would essentially have cycles per second that we can set up in this particular method. So when you are creating a wave movement, you set cycles per second. So when this one gets a about, let's start with the movements. So this is if we're copying one. If you pass in nothing to it, this is the default constructor as a result. Let's get our base behavior. Base behaviors don't need this anymore. We don't need a reference to catalog and entity manager any longer because those are globally available. Active technically does nothing right now. So this is the parent one. We're going to be mirroring a lot of this functionality. So again, this is the copy constructor. It's not really a copy constructor, that is a term, but it is the constructor we use to copy. Say dictionary, type string to variant. So this is also our opportunity to have extra air broadcast happen here. But we'll say gate key is equal to settings. We're going to go with this. It needs to be precise. And we're going to force that to be a string. Question mark is nullable. Where, because it's not a template. Okay, we'll do the null check earlier in the thing. We should also check that this is a string. Do debugging later. We will totally do debugging later. Normally, I would say if a developer says that to you, they're not going to get to it. I'm obsessive enough that there's a good chance that I'll get to it. That, and I don't have somebody looming over me trying to enforce unrealistic deadlines. Okay, so if it's a behavior, then we're always going to set gate key. Then inside move wave here, largely the same as in behavior. Because it's not. Oh, okay. No, we have to go up to movement behavior. And behavior, we're going to make sure we're using, yeah. As much as I'd like to use generic collections, since we're using the Godot parser, we may be able to change that later. But not really a lot of difference. Okay, so we can pass a dictionary into the creation of them now. So let's go in here. We are going to have a field called type. That would be move wave. No. So then move, we'll have I will look at it and make sure we implement a if it's not there, I don't care values, because gate key can just be not there. But for the time being, I want to force the situation here. So then in our move wave, when we get a dictionary in like this, copy is not null. Is equal to copy as a move wave. Cycle is equal to that. Copy constructor for it. We weren't using it previously, but now we are. Settings. So this should read in the cycles per second from it. Movement, behavior. We're going to need to have logic to pull in a targeter inside of movement behavior. And this is where things get trickier. Let's see if we can capture this. I just noticed this. So the canvas drop cloth is a success. Ember is there. Sammy is off to the side of the table. I might have to adjust its positioning a bit. But this is still working out. Yep. There was a footstool with a canvasy texture to the surface. Might have been actual just canvas. Furniture canvas. And she liked to stretch out on it like that. And so I realized they were shredding that carpet that I got to try to simulate that. So I got an actual drop cloth instead. Seems to be working. Okay, how are we going to get a targeter out of this? Because I don't want to put prior knowledge of all of the child classes. Okay, we could have a dictionary function that is get from... I'm sorry, a catalog function that is get from dictionary here. Okay. Because a lot of this is going to cease to be relevant. Because we will just be getting values and loading them in. A lot of these things will only need to exist once or so. We'll be storing off textures. Everything else can be made more or less on the fly as a result of this. Well, within reason. We'll still need to be able to spawn them on demand, but internal logic will change. got to be a variant coming back from it. Ugh. String. Variant. I can type good. Okay. So this is where we are going to parse out the different types here. We'll need to update this in the standard catalog so it has load from dictionary. This is what we're going to do every time we read a file. And it will vary from we save off the texture to we reach and get a texture. They like the canvas, that's good. But we load textures or we create an object to store off in the catalog by key. And we do it by key only for things that we're going to reference in code. So that is almost entirely going to be behaviors and entities. Probably gates, but ultimately I think we need to revisit how gates work. We'll leave most of this in as it is. I will revisit that later. Oddly, it wasn't there the second time we looked, Tass. In the oh-so-classic sense. Schrodinger's null exception, you know? We started observing it, so the waveform collapsed. It doesn't return a value yet. We're just going to start with behavior from dictionary. Okay. So at this point, we have a great big if-else, which isn't great. But Thank you for being inconsistent. Hello, Ember. Hello. Ember demands a hug. Sweetheart. Oh, okay. Well, we're entering an ad break, and I've got to wrangle some stuff together in a moment. So we're gonna take our break and be right back. Okay, we're back. So, what I'm encountering here is that catalog uses systems.collections.generic. So, we're going to have to come to a different process here. So, this is using the Godot JSON parser. All right, so that's an abstract. Quick check on document. And of course, the cats are dodging the camera expertly today. Sky is up in his tree, near his tree. He's actually sitting on the canvas bridge. Oh, and now that I say it, he dodges that. They're very active today. Turn that on. I check documentation. Okay. Okay. You can do that. Let's try this. Type. Systems. JSON serializer dot deserialize as a variant. Fine with it being a Godot variant is the value. Thank you. And that needs IO stream. We are getting back into territory that I have not touched in ages. File stream, open. All right. We need to move this around here. Don't need file contents. Needs. File stream and it will spit out type. I guess I should try to fix all of the other ones. Stopped. Blog. Okay. All right. Okay, how are we going to do this? object. Try that. No. We could just force everything to strings. So what I would like is to have this actually be a number, because it is a number. I could put quotes around it and it will be fine. And then I can later forcibly cast it to a float, which might just be the expedient solution here. Because we're not deserializing this to an object. There are nuances to deserializing it as an object that will be a hassle. So let's... I love saving. But... okay. Let's do that. Line number 5. But for read, save. Run it on the Godot side so we can catch the debug. Okay. Have to see if there are methods for getting the debugging in there, because I would like built-in options for this file didn't read correctly, fix it kind of stuff. And I'd also like to get numbers in there. Or can we do... or science. Not really an object, though. We could do toString here. Then get the build going. Start the screen, go back over to the editor. Get nothing in the toString there. Oh. Is a bit of a hitch here. Because we could ultimately address some of this by just not having uniform types in it for some of them. Like, we never need to have like a static targeter because we can just define them within the behaviors as particular objects. So what if instead we deserialize this as a fixed type? Okay. We're kind of winging it here, folks. Okay. Okay, which means move behavior. Behavior. Don't have that, so we're going to go to move wave again. Didn't actually need JSON constructor. Oh. Not explode. Okay. Maybe this will work after all? Question mark. Gate key should be something now. Okay. This was the problem surface that we ran into when I was reading up on this. Is deserialization in C# does not intrinsically handle polymorphism well. In that you have to define what the child classes are on the parent class. I want to use Newtonsoft if I can avoid it. Reading. 1 moment. We need a type discriminator there. But okay. But you know. It's not any good. So I'm doing some quick documentation reading here. Because this does lead us back down the road of using JSON variant as the method of getting them out of here. The JSON string parsing. Which leads us to needing JSON dictionaries, which changes all of the dictionaries in the catalog into Godot dictionaries, which isn't the end of the world, it's just a hassle. All right, we're gonna try something else here. We're gonna see how this works. Set you aside for a moment. Let me check my code changes here. Leave you. Just going to go through and I'm going to get the changes to use the services in here. So I don't lose that in the mix, you know. It's good to keep your commits focused. Otherwise, you might have a commit that creates a bug. And you have to get rid of that. So you roll that back. But because it also contained a fix to something else, you've rebroken it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to serialize and debug print some of these behaviors in the standard catalog. Let me revert some of this. Okay. All right, we're gonna, let's see, there's textures. I want to get a behavior. Stringify, okay. Come on now. So many things to deal with here. Part of this is I wanted to plan to have this be all robust and that we'd move through it freely, but, motivation and sleep has been a problem lately, and getting the stream rolling today, I think, is part of turning that around, which means we're also not very planned. Yep. Seriously. No. Why you gotta be like this, Godot? I mean, I don't really need, functionally, I don't need to stringify this. I want to see what it turns it into, is the question. That's what we're looking to do. But it wants a variant. But we can't just cast it in there. And we can't just serialize using the C# one because it requires a really kind of arcane attribution, let's say. Can we do that? Yes. And I think we're going to have to. I think we're ultimately going to have to use that attribution. We can't use resource files because those can't be edited from outside of Godot cleanly. There are object reference values and whatnot that get in there, and it gets messy. A comma separated grid sheet would be one way to go about it. As far as read it in, but at that point we're just parsing. We're saying, field 5 is one of these kind of thing. So we have to minutely deal with it, and we don't know up front the variable value, the type of the variables involved in each one, which leads us back to the same problem that we ran into earlier, which is we can't just parse it in as whatevers, and get the right value. Because if we don't tell it a particular class to parse as, we run into problems. Okay, let's start the ball rolling on this mess. We're in, bite the bullet territory. Okie doke. So this is the thing that I don't like, is when we have these derived types. What we have to do is in the parent class, we have to attribute each of the child classes and give it a type identifier right here. Might just be able to do the derived class. I don't know that we need to have each of these here. Yeah, we should just be able to use derived type on them, which means anytime we add a class, we need to have the derived type in it. I don't know if this will work the way we want it to. Because it will need to know how to derive that. Okay, no, we have to have the type here. And then we need a special property on it which says which type it is. So we need to define it like this. JSON derived type with a type discriminator. Which should allow us to get the full child types in there. And leave out of order metadata in there. Okay. Okay. Type becomes a fixed value, but we do have our catalogs for names of things, so we can probably still use that. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, which means in our classes here, we're going to have to go through and iterate through them. I think we can get away with just having a one-layer class here. is JSON derived type. Where is that live? System.text.json. Are we missing? Maybe? Nope. This should have caught it anyway. Is this a version issue? Should be plenty fresh as far as those are concerned, but ooh, where is that? Newtonsoft is going to show up almost immediately, which I don't. Can I use Newtonsoft? Yes, but one of the reasons that I'm hesitating to do anything like that is I want to minimize the amount of different tools that I incorporate into the software, both from a simplicity perspective as well as a potential licensing risk surface. There are a lot of products that, if you're just doing it for yourself, they're fine to use. But as soon as you try to do something like put it on Steam, the equation changes and you need to get licenses. Spelling something wrong. Don't get it. Serializer exists. Have none of those extension derived type things here. Implies that this might not be what we want. It's out of date. version am I using? Well, this might be a problem. Because it starts in 7. Looks like it should be as of 4.2. is 8. We're checking our... We're sitting at 4.3. What this means is we might not be able to use that feature, which is a problem. Which I think leads us back down the road of it's a variant, which means it has to be in a Godot collection, because we're reading through the Godot parser. Wait, no. How about... rid of that. So in core, when we're starting up, let's just do a quick check here. Mary is a string to variant. Did I not use that? Okay. Well, we make it a string, then we can forcibly parse it how we want it to be. Fine. Stream. One.text. Open read. File. Open read. This. Dictionary of strings. Run. Encounter problem. Run it on the C side. But that should be able to convert into a string because everything can be a string. Okay. Have to specify a type to return, and it's refusing to parse that as a string. All right, quick break, folks. Be right back. And we're back. Yeah, I have some control over the frequency of the advertisements, and since I try to take a break every hour, having the advertisements about every hour seems kind of viable. But yeah. Okay, so it's refusing to parse even a string of a number into a string, which is dumb. Yeah. To prevent pre-rolls, it needs to be, I think it's like 3 minutes an hour, something along those lines. So in cycles per second, it can't convert what it gets to a string. Why not? Why can you not convert anything to a string? All right. Can I do... So it's looking at and saying that's a number. And so I can't treat it as a string. As opposed to, treating everything that it encounters as a string. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Womp womp. I hadn't saved it. That's what the little orange bar on the left meant. Okay, spits it out as dictionary. Is fine. I think this is going to be the most expedient way to do this. All right, let's try... So we don't need that for testing right now. Stringify takes a variant. Okay, that's why we didn't do that. Okay. Hey there, Zell. Welcome. Discard that. Okay, so we are going to need the equivalent of parse from dictionary in our classes. We could make that part of the catalogable interface. This guy right here. So right now, they have a constructor that requires that they be able to pass in a copy there. What I could have is a build from dictionary on that will relay it up each time. Because only things that get cataloged are going to be loaded in this way because it's making them in the catalog. And the copy constructor will still be used. But we could then have a direct instantiation kind of model like what we're using here. So by default, it will do nothing. So then we can override it in each one to have a copy, a dictionary constructor. How you doing, Zell? So now we're going to go to our base behavior. Okay, no, in catalogable. This can't be null. We're trying to get our feet back under us for the coding project. We had, a long snag, but hopefully getting running again. Just kind of forcing a stream today to make it happen. Trying to get moving again. Trying to get momentum. Okay, so if you pass a dictionary in, then we are going to go into our behavior. Expedite this. Mission. That. space with properties. Oops. No, that's correct. That's correct. Which means we need to make sure that. Okay. So now if it gets this in, it's going to check for it. And we're going to say properties. Okay. Then in our movement behavior, this is one of the tricky ones. This is where we are going to we're going to have to call into the catalog and ask for the targeter because it's going to come in as a string. But for the time being, who's joining us now? We have we are changing it so that we can start loading all of this stuff from file instead of loading it from hard-coded values. Generic. You know what? Let's get that in there. Turn calls base. So does nothing just now, but we don't really care in zigzag necessarily what the targeter is because this one is a movement modifier. Targeters I may still ultimately move out of movement behaviors. Even just the idea of movement behaviors I may remove and just make it a behavior. Because not all of them need targeters. Many need targeters, but there are going to be some that just edit the proposed movement. And in that scenario, the targeter is vestigial and is a wasted variable kind of thing. Okay, so now we have a way to load these. Let's see here. Let's see, double. Way to do this. How to? Let's see. C sharp. Two double. Okay. There we go. We got there. And so this one doesn't copy the toggle here. This one should, though. I forgot to include that. The reason that this has to include the toggle is we are duplicating an existing behavior. So if that existing one already has the toggle in place, so will this one. It's the reason that things like it copies a lifespan's time remaining kind of stuff. Okay, so we need a cycle duration and a current cycle. And I edited zigzag, so we've got a... current cycle is also transient. Just cycle duration. Okay. Behavior, we get the gate key. Movement behavior, we're not doing anything with it just yet. And then here we get that. All right. So then in our catalog, the full catalog too. This is going to be something that under this model, load files may need to be different. We'll see. Because we're changing it from Well, we could still handle it in like a debug catalog or something like that. We'll see. Hide void load files. So let's see. We're going to have reading. Hard code this for now. Then Sun serializer deserialize as a dictionary of strings using the file that we passed in. Just so. So if we have a thing to load, and we would break this up each time, but this is the general structure that we'd be looking for here. There might be refinement that we can do, but maybe when Godot 4.4 releases, we could revisit this. But until then, Godot 4.4 would give us access to .NET 8, and .NET 8 has JSON deserialization options for derived classes, so that we would be able to get a behavior out of it that was of the right type. Okay. Oh. Doesn't actually need this override. There's nothing about a specific catalog that necessarily needs to load the files. But for the time being, over that. Now we're going to look at all right. So we have the file move zigzag in there now. All right, this is kind of the pattern that we're looking at going forward here. Is we would set this up is type checks here and then subtype checks with we can throw it to other functions each time. Yeah, we can keep load files in there. This is where we're calling that. Anyway. So we'd have to define each of the types here. If it's not here, we won't respect it when it's loaded in. Hey there, Laura. How's it going? Did your customers respect your day off? Well, there you go. That's how you do. That. Just gonna load the behaviors for now. Okay, we have zigzag, wave, straight line, rotate in player. Five total. Wave. And this is the general pattern here. We're going to need to get a key name in it. So... this is an air surface waiting to happen, so we're going to have... We're going to put this in a series of constants that we can get to, like enumerated types kind of stuff. We'll see. Hey there, vampire. We're doing okay. Like I was mentioning, kind of forced a stream today. I need to get rolling again. Need to get coding again. It's been a rough last week or so. Nothing serious, but you know. None of these have this method, so we're going to go in and get that going. Which is that. Player does nothing with its catalogable constructor. I mean, I'm capable of it, but I don't know that I necessarily would. I'm not averse to trivia games. Just not something that I seek out to play. It needs to do nothing with that. This one, though, does need to do stuff. And its angle increment. Speed. A and then speed. Yep. I do want to get some more game streams in. It's just a matter of, doing it. We haven't finished all the Power Wash DLC. in about a month now, Monster Hunter Wilds is going to show up, and I do want to have a regular stream of that. We can start up the see if we can start up the collab with Okami Sky and Task again. Rotate, then. Bring Resident Evil 3 remake. Don't know that I would enjoy the earlier Resident Evils. I mean, I've seen some of them streamed, so a bit of it's spoiled, but 7 was interesting. Comes down to execution. I find a lot of survival horror games are frankly dodgy in how they're executed. At least the early ones, you know? I can't speak to the remake as far as playability, but was the Village one a... Wasn't there an 8? I don't recall. But would I be willing to play a Resident Evil game? Yeah. It does kind of come down to resources, though. Straight line doesn't do anything, and then move wave. This one should do something. But yeah, survival horror games in a lot of cases I don't enjoy because they are prone to... It's a genre that's very prone to closet stealth, and I just object to that. There are ways to do closet stealth that it does not aggravate me, but most of them end up doing it as a the enemy patrols around and you occasionally need to try to outrun them and dive under a bed kind of things. I don't mind a chase sequence, but it needs to be gameplay and like actual interactive gameplay and not a repetitious thing. Current cycle I don't care about, but cycles per second. Helpful. Hurt. Double. Okay, so now we can create each of the types. Ice cream place would be cold stone. Flavor wise, it's mostly like the things in it more than the actual flavor, because I'll start with like a vanilla base. Like a fudge ribbon, some marshmallow, maybe a little bit of graham cracker. Cookie dough is okay, but it's kind of like a concession more than a favored one. I like kind of a s'more ice cream, you know, but with a vanilla base. Marshmallow cream is preferable to marshmallow bits, like wildly preferable. Okay, so then what I need is a way to iterate over the files in a folder in this process. Because right now we're loading a very specific one. I want to get each of them out of that folder. And I also want to look at having multiple in a given file. So what happens if we do that? Can I do this? No. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so each file will have something like this in it. Quick bit of reading. Okay. That should work. What we're going to do, it's directory get files. String array files. Data folder, a relative path to that folder. So then for each file in there, we are going to that here. Open it and then take all of that. This is also part of the reason that I want to break it up, because this will get grotesquely big if we cover every type. So we'll subdivide it, you know? Okay, so we should still get the same result here. Yep. Okay. This is the basis for the system that I wanted to have in there. It's not complete by any stretch, but what we've got is a way to differentiate, is to go into a folder. In this case, it's the data folder. We're going to get all of the files out of it, and then we are going to iterate over those files, opening the file for reading purposes. I hope this closes it. It seems to. It seems to. Once the object goes away. Wonder. For cleanliness. So we open it, we parse it, close it. We look at what we parsed. Did we get a thing? If we got a thing, we're going to check and see if that type is there. Now, one thing we could do is have some checks at the beginning is to say, does it have a type and a subtype? If it doesn't have a type and a subtype, it's flawed, and we stop. We just skip the file. We could have an error logged kind of thing. Similarly, once we get into the parsing in the individual one, it can check and say, do all of these keys exist? And throw an error if they do. Because it'll be malformed otherwise. Okay. So let's test this further. Three files. Test 2 and test 3. Okay, now we need to get the appropriate values into them. Move, rotate, expects angle, increment, and speed. The fun thing is, by doing this, I'm going to be able to excise more and more of the load functions and just move some of that stuff into constants and the like. Should be good. But in the meantime, it does also mean that I need to keep referencing this. No, I don't want to peek it. I want to go to it. Okay. Don't think we need to set the targeter, and this is another reason that I want to get the targeter out of there. Auto, any request like that is going to be treated as highly suspect, and thus makes you highly suspect. follow-up statement in question, how often does that work? Okay, we're not going to be able to do a move rotate. There's more nuance to that I need to get in there. Hello, Ember. Okay. Zag and wave. Wave has a different movement pattern. We need to get that in there. Cycles per second in current cycle. No, it just needs cycles per second. Oscillate super fast. Yeah, let's say 1. Actually, 0.1 would be better. It would be a wide oscillation there. So file move wave and file move zigzag are things that we want to put in here. So when we go into our standard catalog, actually, we're going to wrap up there for now, folks. Oh, we did make quite a bit of progress today. The next thing is going to be fine-tuning the conversions over here so that the values that you enter in the files are nice and readable for anybody that's messing with them, such as me. Then we're going to convert over to, instead of the catalog as it is, we are going to convert over to a bunch of files in the relevant folders. Which will change it to be like iterating over the different folders. So get this one, get the subfolder, well, open the subfolders, go from there, kind of thing. So we'll figure it out. But we've made some progress today. So I hope everybody had fun today. We are going to be trying once again to get our feet under us, which means more programming streams and ideally some more gaming streams. We'll see how that plays out. It's kind of a self-improvement battle here. And the back choke. But we'll see from there. So if you like what you saw and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment, all of those good things. It helps the channel grow and will help you see things like this more things like this in the future. With all that said, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.